Your team, willkommen, bienvenue, etc., etc., etc. Hello, welcome back. Here we are. We are at Maratha on Transport Fever 2 on PS5. Please, please, please do not forget to click that like. Do subscribe to the channel if you are not already. Feel free to enjoy super thanks and all of that other jazz that normally goes with YouTube channels. Now, remember what we were doing when we left? Yes, I do. By gum, do I remember. I tell you how I remember, because I've been doing it for hours. Jeepers, but it took a long time. Yeah, we've been trying to get more trains and more stock and more stuff and more things and more everything else, and some of these things just keep producing more and producing more and producing more. Let's have a look at bricks. I'm not going to look at them all.
Most excellent,
I just wanted to cover the fact that we've been balancing this out to try and get to 100%. Kuala Lumpur just refuses to play ball. I have no idea why that is the case. I've been around it a bunch of times. Look what happened to my trucks. Where the heck are my trucks? I've got 4 very good trucks that are supposed to be moving stuff around, and this place is jammed pack of bricks, which is absolutely why I'm running into that problem. Where's me trucks? Come on, I see you. There's 2 of you right there. You're the fuel truck guy. You can get out of the way. That guy took bricks. He's got bricks, and he's got bricks, and we got other bricks, and there's more bricks, and there's bricks aplenty. Yeah, okay. Let's add 2 more brick trucks. I'm obviously not moving enough bricks because I added in new trains and various other bits and pieces to get the bricks moving. So that's what we have been doing, and that's what we've been trying to achieve. We've got food coming down to Quezon City now, so Quezon City is now getting food. Not a lot. They don't want much, to be fair. They're picking up some bricks, but not a huge amount of bricks. They're taking a little bit of while to pull their socks up, and it's like they barely want fuel, so I'm not even going to start a line all that way, seeing as they barely want fuel. So there you go, there you are, and what have you, and all the rest of it. And I don't think, off the top of my head, I don't think you get a vehicle count, but I can tell you now that if we were to put this on trucks and I was to scroll down here, we would be scrolling for a little while to get to the bottom. It says 156. I'm not sure that's entirely consecutive, but it's probably not far off it, I can tell you that. Trains wise, 76. So we're juggling 56 vehicles and 76 trains. The trains require a bit more juggling than the cars. Well, trucks, to be fair, but there you go. Anyway, what does all this mean? Well, I'll tell you what the heck this means. This means there's an awful lot of trains stuck going up and down through this junction. What I will do is I'll go through here and I'll turn that signals off, and I'll turn that off, and I'll turn everything else off, and I'll just leave the trains, right? So this gives you a clue where we've got some pinch points for trains. We seem to have a lot of trains running up and down here, and we have an awful lot of trains zigzagging out here through Spaghetti Junction, and there's a lot of spaghetti going on down here. It is by no means the smoothestly orchestrated rail network, and it will need redone, and there are things that we can do. For example, we have timber here and logs here, but essentially this timber is just going over here. So we can reroute this all around this side of this lake, I guess it is. And then we can free up all that stuff from over there. There's a couple of things that have to come through this area. This crazy thing here is madness. But there are some things going on and etc. and all the rest. So anyway, the upshot of all this is that kind of system is posing a problem, right? And I knew it would. It wasn't like it's not a surprise, And we have the D, and I said about the D, and I said, oh, well, I'm not really sure, and there's things that we can do. So it's May 14th, 1980. It is the boom time. The rampant capitalists of Wall Street are running amok all over the planet and desperately trying to make as much money as they can before they turn 30 and steal it all from the next generation. So while they're busy looting, pillaging, and plundering the planet like Vikings of old, but with dollars, we have some things to do with that money. And turns out Dubai, Bangkok, Kuala Lumpur, and poor old Nagoya, who's getting there. They got beachfront, which they have industry on the beachfront, which is a bit weird, but there you go. They all got together and they said, you know what? This is a problem because everything has to go around Dubai, and Dubai is like, you know what, this is killing us, emissions wise, traffic wise. You guys, it's all a pain. It's all very annoying. What are we going to do? So what we are going to do, the conglomerate of Dubai, Bangkok, Kuala Lumpur, and Nagoya are going to do is they are going to set up a massive new infrastructure project based around this inland bay. Now then, the intent of this project is to be able to get traffic and rail from Dubai to Bangkok without going around Mount Gumbi here. So a direct line between Bangkok and Dubai for traffic and rail, which will also lend its way into a bridge, I feel, that is going to go from this peninsula here over to this piece of land here next to this timber area, and that's then going to create a link across this peninsula past the oil plant and down to this port area, which is going to be heavily redeveloped to support Kuala Lumpur. And out of Kuala Lumpur, they're going to take a road bridge and possibly a rail bridge. We'll see how the money goes, see how the investments go back over to Dubai, so that we have Dubai, Bangkok, and Kuala Lumpur connected with both road and rail for commuters and cargo. In the meantime, because we are bringing this road and rail network over onto this little currently unused island, this is going to be extended across here via a bridge to the southern part of Nagoya Island, and this southern part of Nagoya Island is going to be developed into a road and rail connection for Nagoya, right? Because Nagoya feels like it could do with a bit of love. So that's what's going to happen over here, and that's probably going to take me a little bit of time and a little bit of thought and a little bit of effort to get onto and do. And you don't want to hear me waffling my way through it most of the time. You sat through that in the last video. And to be honest, a lot of it is going to be pretty straightforward stuff. So that's all going to be in time lapse. There are some things that we need to consider. We need to consider this industry. It's a very important industry, and we need to figure out how to get around this industry without breaking this industry, which is very interesting. We already have a station here, but it's probably not in the best location. So this might get moved back a little bit into this area here. And this area here might get developed up into a bit of a hub, and that might support this industry, and we can move some of the support from this industry over into this hub over here. That would mean that we could then do a little bit of something about the rail, because the rail would initially come off at height here, so it would come off on a viaduct anyway, and then we could increase the road network and bring it over here and do bunches of bits and pieces and stuff and thing. And then we obviously need to transit this over into a road and rail bridge mix. There's some issues over here, but it's going to require a bit of a revamp to bring things down to the port. And we want to do a bit of a revamp around the port in terms of bits and pieces. I'm not sure that the residents are going to super appreciate that. But there's not a lot I can do about that. We shall see what we shall see. and this needs a whole new bit of investment. So anyway, so that's what we're going to do. That's what we're going to get on and do. We've got 324 million in the bank. I think we're doing okay. The last time, it looks like I just saw a bad flick pass there. I had just been through and checked everybody. Very bad. My boats are very bad, and I've got some very bad fuel trucks, but not a lot else. So what I'll do is, because I bought them all at the same time, I got some bad trains. Oh, right. What I need to do is I need to sort out these bad trains and bad boats, bad bits and pieces, and I'll get on and do that. And when I bring you back, it'll be a time lapse. So grab your coffee or your tea or your beer or your gin or whatever it is that you feel like drinking, and I'll see you all real soon. Ta-ta for now. you? We're back. Boy, that took some time, I tell you. That took a little bit of time. I do not mind telling you. Right, let's have a look at a couple of things. Right, this area over here. So I changed this log. This log. We were here. We were sending trains up through here underneath the new elevated roundabout. We'll talk about that in a second. And I changed and I went over this way. So I brought all the wood over this way, and we come around and we connect up and past the wood trains. We drop off here to make more timber. And the timber, in its turn, used to go up this way. Took that out, and it's gone around the lake. And it joins up with the ore trucks and it drops off at the machines. So that took this is quite a bit. 1, 2, 3, maybe 5, 6, 6 trains off this line. So that was pretty good. That took quite a few things off that line, and they seem to be doing okay. I think. Where are we with this? Yeah, I mean, we're getting there. We're getting there. Kuala Lumpur Timber, Dubai Timber Supply. We've got stuff going on. Logs never run out of fashion, so that's fine. And this place seems to be going down. It's going down? Why is it going down? That seems to be a bit weird. Something wrong with the timber connection somewhere. We have steel supply, we have timber supply, and we have a bunch of machines. Probably just going to take it a while to sort itself out. Just check that we actually have a timber supply train. And where are you? You are there, which is a weird place for you to be because you shouldn't be on that side. You should be around the other side. I hope you are sorting yourself out because you should be over here. So, yeah, okay. It's just going to take them a while. I think some of the trains are in the wrong place, and it's going to take a while to find their right place. But we'll keep an eye on those. Don't you worry. So we took a few people off that line, which is very, very good. And then I took the opportunity to elevate this thing. It's still wonky as it's just not the fine tuning is not there on this game for some of these things. So this is like the 5th time I tried to get this relatively central, and it's a bit of a nightmare. And then you connect up the road and it breaks the circle and it does a whole bunch of things. And so anyway, the fine tuning's not quite there, but it is a little bit better than it was. Traffic is using it. It's all very good. We've connected up to the city of Dubai. It's not a problem. I did this grade adjustment and then found out that you can't really go much deeper on this map because then you hit the tide. So the way the map seems to be made is it's a water map at this level, and they've built it up. So if you go down this deep on any part of the map, you just hit the sea. Which is interesting. So there's no bedrock. You're just, or at least the groundwater is very low, one or the other. So that's challenging. So there'll not be a lot of open cuts on this map, I can tell you. So that's what's happening over there, and that's all good and everything's hunky-dory. But the main challenges were happening over here, weren't they? If we look at the big thing to start with, this took a few goes to get this. And part of it, as you probably saw, was getting the nodes right on the bridges. The nodes don't connect up very well automatically, so you've got to be very careful when you're building roads, especially if you're going to be doing complicated bridges like this that are side by side. It doesn't connect the nodes together, so you need to measure it out to make sure the nodes are roughly in the same place. And I did that, and I finally managed to get that all sorted and working, so we got that all good. I had a couple of goes at making this junction look like a bit of a something, and I ended up using the stock junction. The issue that I have with this is you can't elevate it. So I was kind of hoping that in some way I could elevate this on pillars off the ground. And then I could have this all elevated, and then I could run the trains underneath it, and wouldn't that be hunky dory? No, you can't do that. So you cannot in any way elevate this, as far as I can tell, unless you do it manually. I mean, I guess you could design something like this manually if you had the time. You go for it. I don't want to go for it. I mean, it's obviously doable. They've obviously done it, but they may have done it with tools that I don't have access to. So there you go. And then this connected through here, which is not too bad, and connects up to this roundabout, which is, as you can see, fairly congested. So I'm going to need to do a little bit of something with the traffic down here. It's also maybe partly just a slug of traffic. I mean, we've only just connected Nagoya and connected Bangkok through here, so this traffic was probably all coming through here in a bit of a hurry. But it seems like there's a bit of congestion here because it's only a two-lane road. So I probably need to. So this is the high street. So the roundabout probably needs moved over here to be connected to the high street. At the minute, it's not quite connected in the right place, and that's fine. That's okay. That's not a big drama. So that's the road network. And then over here, we just connected the roundabout. We haven't done two-lane highway out here yet. You don't really have to. It doesn't really get that busy. You can do it for aesthetic purposes, but it is arguably slightly more trouble than it's worth. And then this connects over to the high street with Dubai and connects through central Dubai. And that's all well and good. So that's the road network over here, kind of ish sorted. I mean, it's better than it was. Um, and out here, sorry, we've connected through here. And we'll talk about the trains. We'll talk about this funky flyover in a minute. So that's the traffic. So Nagoya is connected. Go Nagoya! It's actually got a road network, and it actually feels connected to the rest of the world. So they're going to start wanting things really desperately badly sometime soon, which is great-ish. So over here, I moved this thing. Now, you probably will have seen that originally it was an end station. Now, the problem with end stations is that it recognizes the cargo connection at the end, and there's too much road and distance between the end and here to allow this station to pick up from the industry. So I had to change it to a modular station, and we've got the passenger terminal and we've got the cargo terminal, which is fine. And then I had to connect it via a road. Now, because I had to connect it via this road, which is a direct road, that meant that this express road, I guess main road, had to become a flyover to get over this industrial road so that we could maintain the connection. There's no way we can have this station not connected to this industry. It is very important that it is, so it's more important that we do that. So that was a bit of a faff, so that changed the road layout and changed a few things around here, but we managed to do that, which is fine. And we ended up with a mix of passenger and a mix of cargo, which is perfectly fine. And as predicted, the train comes straight off here and forms part of this absolutely massive rail network. No one would build this in real life. It's an absolute monster. And it connects in here to 3 separate platforms, which is fantastic. The only thing is, when you peel things off the side here, things start to get a little funky. So you end up with like random things popping up, like Armco barriers that probably shouldn't be there. It's to do with how it's recognizing pillars and things. So that, and connecting in down here. You can't connect in at the side because then you end up with these pillars sticking in the middle of train tracks and various other bits and pieces. They have really built right on the side here. I didn't. This is new. This is crazy. Stop building there. What are you lunatics? Look at the state of the place. That's perhaps acceptable. The rest of it, definitely craziness. You've got to have some kind of barrier separation. What's wrong with you? Anyway, this thing's massive. It was easier to get across this road than I absolutely thought it was going to be. But we did manage to get it. We took the rail off here and we connected it through here, so we gave the city of Bangkok a little bit more room to grow. And we brought the rail network through here, and then we bypassed it straight through. Now, it would make more sense to have the passengers on this side, but because the passenger is on this side over here, it's easier for the passenger trains not to cross over. So the main cargo is coming through here. So I've kept the cargo on this side and the passengers on this side, which means to avoid the passenger trains crossing over so much, I'm dropping the passengers off on this side, which seems very far removed. They do have, or they can have, a subway. I'll have to insert a subway for them so they can actually get across. I thought about doing like a pedestrian flyover, but I don't think you can't make footpaths here. So there's no way I can make a pedestrian flyover. You can in City Skylines because you can make paths. You can't make paths here. You can only make roads. So, bit of a shame on that one. Anyway, that's everything has a reason, and then we've got the rail. I wanted to bring the rail over next to the road bridge, but I couldn't do it. This darn industry's in the way. If this industry ever vanishes, I'll move everything over. But I couldn't. I can't. So I had to go around it. So I had to bring it out. And because I couldn't elevate this, I had to go under it instead, which is kind of alright because we come in slightly lower than it, so it's not really a big grade adjustment to go under it. It's a very small tunnel, which is fine. This is how I would prefer it to be, close to the road. I've left this as a stone bridge, but we could change it to something else. I think making it another bridge like that would seem a little bit superfluous. You could make it like that. That's a kind of traditional rail bridge. You kind of see more things like that, So you could say, well, that's the road bridge, which is the fancy Golden Gate style orange suspension, and you have this over here, and this loops around and it pulls in quite nicely, pulls in over here, and we have this, which is connecting Nagoya, which is jolly good. And then this all heads off over here. I obviously needed to get this to head down to Kuala Lumpur, so I had to do this funky loop, which is fine. It's a loop, and then it brings the stuff around here, and then I had to do a flyover, which was kind of tricky, but it works, so that's fine. And then that comes running down this hill and joins up to this fancy dancy station here. This is the Japanese style station, elevated platforms. I like it. I actually like it. I think this is quite nice compared to this, which is quite flat. So I kind of like this guy over here. You should be standing behind the line, sir. Um, so yeah, I kind of like that. That's kind of nice. There's a few options with the old Japanese station mod, which is pretty good, and I've only used a couple of them, which is fantastic. And I had to do a little few things. This is probably not complete. I'm contemplating, like I said, I've got to move the roundabout, this road, this cargo stop, this station, connecting this loop through here would be handy. I could run some cargo this way from down Daegu, Krasnoyarsk kind of way, possibly, which would bring us up to Nagoya, and it would avoid having to come up and around Dubai, which is a bit of a nightmare. So I think this will be a work in progress area here, and we can probably redo this a little bit better and maybe try and make better use of this port as I have suggested. But it's working, right? So it's working for now, and that's the main thing. In terms of lines, I've started connecting the lines through, so Nagoya Bangkok, Nagoya Kuala Lumpur, and I've got things like Nagoya Fuel and Nagoya Machines and things like that. I haven't put any trains on there yet. We spent a lot of money, and as you can see, there's things that happening over here that this is something's going wrong with not getting enough timber. So there's a few things that I need to just iron out and go back and make sure everything's connected and functioning properly. There's some trains that are in the wrong place that have to have time to find themselves in the right place, and they've got to sort themselves out. It's a temporary blip. It's what happens when you rebuild. It's not the end of the world. It will sort itself out. I just need to sort it out and let it run for a bit and make sure everything's kind of functioning kind of well. So that's what I got to do. The other thing I got to do, as I've said before, is go through and increase the bus coverage because the cities have grown and the bus networks haven't, so they're all looking a bit busy. I have to go through and check. You can see we've already got some bads. I need to go through and check the vehicles. You can see we have some trains that need work, a lot of work. Oh, that's it. We've got a few trains that need a bit of work. So we need to go through, we need to go change some of those trains, and then I need to start adding in the new trains when it is right to do so, see how the network stacks up in terms of congestion and busyness and various other bits and pieces, and do all of that. And then we need to talk about connecting Jakarta. So connecting Jakarta is going to be the next thing. And then after that, we have a problem with finished goods. Everybody wants finished goods, and I don't have any. There's a good manufacturer on Faisalabad, which is of no use to anybody, and a good manufacturer in Quezon, which is of use to somebody, but I need to get plastics and steel down there. In theory, I could get steel made here, which would easily supply that place, but plastics. The only plastics is here. It's economically ridiculous to be traveling the entire length of the map. So I'll have a think about that without feeling like I'm breaking the map too much. If you have oil supply and an oil field and a demand for plastics, you should have a plastics manufactory something around here. We've got steel, so that's fine. We've got ore here and we've got coal here, which could supply the steel. We could put a plastics manufactory here or something. And then we could have the finished oil product going out to the plastics manufactory, and then we could have steel and the plastic coming down here to the finished goods, and then we'd have to supply the finished goods. That would still be an achievement. I mean, finished goods to Yekaterinburg, that's a long distance. You know what I mean? Finished goods to Jakarta. So I don't think that would be breaking the game too much to suggest that that is something that we could do, given that we can add in industries. So that might be something that we could do while we're doing all of these other things and pulling all these things together before we hit the 2000s, right? And then once we hit the 2000s, who's our biggest city? Probably KL, I would say, city-wise. Where are we? Towns. And we'll sort them by size, and we'll sort them by, yeah. So KL's already over 1,000, which is more than we got on our last map. And Daegu's nearly there, Bangkok 700 and so on. So if we wanted to push some of these all above the thousands and start to get some really big cities and trying to grow here, we're going to need to get plastics doing, and we're going to need to keep increasing stuff. So that's what we need to do. Finish up connecting Jakarta. Balance these lines, get some more product moving, get some plastics made somewhere, and then decide what we're going to do about Faisalabad. Yeah, I don't know. I mean, I feel like putting in a link to them from Kuala Lumpur would be a big ask. And I don't know how you would justify the expense of building an enormous bridge out here. I mean, a bridge out here would be in the millions. You know what I mean? And they're such a small place. But then there's no other way to connect them to anything. You know, it's kind of one of those things. It's got to be like a regional government thing to connect Faisalabad because they want to turn Faisalabad into something. You know, like some kind of a, I don't know. Anyway, so that's what we'll have to think about. Yeah, so there you go. So anyway, that was it. That was a lot of work for me. That was a lot of work for me, and some frustrations, and a lot of mistakes were made, and corrections were made, and you know, again, it's not perfect. And there's things, and who knows? We might go back later and change things around. You know, move the road network on the other side. Put the train link on this side. Smooth this all out, tidy it all up. Yeah, I don't know if this industry disappears, that we can eventually clean some of that up. Um, do something about some of these funky connections around this hill, for example. Could we perhaps take it this way? Although this is into the city, and we kind of don't want to disturb the city of Dubai really for itself. We want to let it grow. Um, you know, do we need this rail network to go this close to the city? Do we take this rail network around? I think it would be a bit probably. There's things to think about. There's things to think about. Anyway, I do hope you're enjoying it, and if you are, do click that like. And if you are clicking that like, why not consider subscribing? And if you're subscribing, why not consider membership? And if you don't like membership, what about the Patreon? And if you don't like the Patreon, maybe there's something in the merch store that might take your eye. And if all of that seems a bit too hard, the super thanks is always there. It's a one-off donation, and it would help me out an awful lot. Thank you very much. We'll see where we are when we get back, eh? And what time it is. Until then, ta-ta for now.